Hello all. So in this video we will see that how to do subnetting using a Cisco Packet Tracer. This is a very simple exercise to demonstrate how the subnetworks are created out of the given network. So network is basically splitting a block into a small set of blocks where each sub block is itself a network and we are calling as a subnetwork. Now these are certain formula that are used to get the information about the network. For example, if you want to find out that how many addresses are there in the block, what is the first address, the last address, what is the prefix to be used in each subnetwork. So these are some fundamental formulas and I assume that you are aware about these formulas. So let us take one scenario to understand this concept of subnetwork. So there is a block who is granted some set of IPs, and let's say the IP is in the series of 130.34.12.64/26, and the organization is interested to divide this range of IPs into 4 subnetworks of equal size. So with the given set of information, we can see that the number of addresses for the whole network is 64, and if we want to divide these 64 addresses into 4 equal subnetworks, that means each subnetwork is going to have 16 addresses. So we are going to create 4 subnetworks with each subnetwork is having 16 IPs, and also we can visualize the entire scenario using this figure. So we have a block of IPs that consists of 64 addresses, and we are doing subnetting, and we want 4 subnetworks. To make 4 subnetworks, so out of host ID bits we will take 2 bits, because 2 bits means 2 power 2 is 4. So with the help of 2 bits we can create 4 subnetworks. So here we have prefix is 26, and when we take 2 bits, so it becomes 28. So each subnetwork will be having a prefix 28. So here you can see that this is the subnetwork 0, subnetwork 1, subnetwork 2 and subnetwork 3. So each subnetwork is equally a network in itself. So here we can see that how the addresses are being distributed. So here the first address is 130.34.12.64, and it goes up to 79. So 16 addresses are assigned here, and then the second subnetwork starts from .80 to .95 and so on. So one thing to understand, or one thing to keep in mind when we configure this scenario, that this is the range for subnetwork 0. This is a range given to us. The first and last IPs are special IPs, and they are having a special purpose, and we do not assign these IPs to the host machine which are in these networks. So the first IP is basically the identity of the subnetwork itself, and the last IP is a broadcast IP. So we are not going to assign this. So out of 16 IPs we are left with 14 IPs that can be used. So we can actually use 14 machines in each subnetworks, but for the sake of simplicity we can simply take 2 machine in each subnetwork just to demonstrate the entire scenario and understand. So what actually we are going to do here, we are going to create 4 subnetworks, and each subnetwork is having 2 machines, and then we can see that how the communication is making possible. So we can configure the system, and then we try to send a message from one subnetwork using the router to the other subnetwork and see the communication can be established or not. So this is a very simple exercise just to have a feel that how the subnetworking is done. Now the second thing is here this is the first address is actually the network address, the subnetwork address itself, and the next IP, that is 65. So if you look to the subnet 0, in this subnet 0 the first IP is 64, which is the IP which is given to the network itself. We are not going to use to assign to any host machine. And the second IP we are actually reserving here to connect to the router, or you can say we can assign this IP as a gateway. Means all the machines which are connected in this which are actually available in the subnetwork, if they want to connect outside to the network, they need to pass through some gateway. So we are assigning the very first IP, that is a valid host IP, to the router, or you can say we are using it as a gateway. So here you can see similarly the first IP is 80, which is a network IP, and then 81 we are using as a gateway IP. Here we can see 96 is a network IP, then 97 we are using as a gateway. So in every subnetwork, the second IP is basically we are using as a gateway. So we start assigning the IP from the third IP range. What does it mean? It means in the first subnetwork, the 64 is assigned to the network itself, 65 we are assigning as a gateway IP, then we assign 66 to the first host machine and 67 to the second host machine, and so on. So let's demonstrate the entire scenario using a Cisco Packet Tracer. Let's start. So this is our Cisco Packet Tracer, and for simplicity, for easiness, I have already mentioned here, noted down all the scenario, that what is the range of the subnetworks. It goes from this range to this range. Okay, so here let us first configure our subnetwork. So we are going to create 4 subnetworks, and let's say 4 subnetworks consisting each network of 2 machines. Though each subnetwork is possible to have 16 IPs, and out of 16 IPs we can actually use 13 14 IPs, or we can mean we can add these many host machines in each network. But for simplicity, we are only using 2 machines in each subnetwork. So in whole we need that means 8 we need 8 PCs. Okay, so these are the 8 PCs we have taken, and then within the network they need to connect to each other. So for connecting these machines together, we are using a switch. So let's say we use a switch here to make within the connection within the each subnetwork. And let's assume that this entire scenario represent the 4 subnetworks. So let us draw using a rectangle box that represent. So this is, let's say, one network, then we have the second network, third network, and then this is a fourth network. So virtually we can assume that these are the 4 networks are existing. These are subnetworks basically, because if you look to the range of IPs, these are in a contiguous, these are sequence. So then we want to also connect all these subnetworks. We want to do communication among these subnetworks as well. So we will take one router. So let's say this router is actually being used here, which actually help us to make us communication among these subnetworks. Now let's quickly do the connection. So we can go with the automated connection type. It will be easy for us to do quickly. So now our sub networks are actually getting connected. Now we have to connect with the router so that we can do intercommunication among these networks. Okay, so this is done here. Also you need to check what port is being used here. So here it is used FA0 here. Then this is if you look at this is F1, this is F2 and FA4. Fine. Okay. So now let's assign the IPs. So starting this is let's say subnet 0, this is subnet 1, subnet 2 and subnet 3. Subnet 0 start with this, so we are not going to assign this IP to the first machine, and already we have said that this is 65, so it starts at 64. 65 is assigned, we are using it for the gateway, so we start with 66. So I'll go here and assign the IP here, that is 130.3.12.66, and subnet mask will be taken care like this. So here the subnet mask for this will be 255.255.255 dot we have taking 28 bits as a prefix, so 28 means 255 dot 240. This will be the subnet mask, and default gateway we are using the IP 130.3.12.65. This is 66. Okay, this is done. Now we will configure this one. So again we'll do the same thing here, but this will be 67. So 130.3.12.67. Subnet mask will be 255.240. Default gateway okay. So then next, so now we'll similarly we can just quickly configure all the PCs. I'll just copy paste here. So this starts with 82. Here the default gateway is 81. That's it, done. Now this one, this is done. Now coming to the subnet 3. So subnet tree starts with so here 96, 96, 97, 98. So here we use 98, and this will be so here default gateway we are using as a 97. Okay, and the next we will be going to give 99, right? This we have given 98, and this is not assigned yet. This is 99, and default gateway will be 97, and this will be similarly we go for the fourth one. This is starting with 114. Four. 113 is as a gateway we are using. And this will be 5.240. Okay, so far we have configured all the subnetworks. Now we have to configure our router. So here we are connecting with this, and for this we are using the gateway as 130.3.12.65. So here we have to configure these 4 ports. So now we have configured our entire scenario. Now let us check that is it possible to connect to these PCs. Now let us check that the connection is established properly or not, and we are able to communicate within the network or not, within the subnetworks or not. So let's say we will send one message from PC2 to PC7. So just to ensure that the connection is established or not, we will check with the ping command, and we see that from PC2 we are able to connect to PC7 or not. So PC7 is basically the IP you can see here. This is 114. So we'll try to see that 114 is replying back to us or not. So we go here, we write ping command, ping 130.3.12.114. And you will see that so it is connected. We are getting a reply back. So again, if you want to check with the other machine, so 114 is one of the machine, and also we have 115 is also there. We'll see. Yes, so we are able to connect. So here we have seen that how to make a subnetwork among the range of addresses, and also we have configured it using a router, so that among the subnetworks the communication is also made possible. So this is just a small demonstration to have a feel that how the subnetwork has to be done, and how we can also do the communication among these subnetworks. This is all. Thank you very much. Good luck.